So please give a big hand of applause to Vikas Khanna again. This is more about his career in the short span, his passion for food, and his achievements, his books, and it's more about that. So let's talk about that. So Vikas, I know you for three things: chef, humanitarian, and of course now filmmaker. So what next?
I think creativity should not be boxed. You know, when I announced that I've made a movie and everything, Nina Gupta actually announced it, and everybody kept messaging her, "You're tagging the wrong Vikas Khanna, he's just a chef." And then something was very strange. We had a screening in Los Angeles. It was a private screening. When I went there, this is really surprising. So I entered the reception. The girl said, "Oh, the caterers are coming from the backside." मैंने पंजाबी में बोला, मैं कहा, "भैन जी, मेरी फिल्म है." I said, "Ma'am, this is my movie." Saying, "No, this is by some other Vikas Khanna." So I love creating conflict. I really love creating conflict where people are used to one craft just being boxed. If a brown guy within a lifetime can win a Michelin star for doing Indian food, and it is also interesting that, I think it was interesting that you were given a voice, and you know where I come from, boys don't get this kind of voice to be told. And I think I want to use it to maximum and tell more meaningful work and more meaningful books. And
Thank you so much. And we need people like you to bring importance to some of the very important social topics like today. So getting back to your passion for food, I know you started off very early, and some of it you said was brought about by your grandmother and mother. What keeps you going? I know to be a Michelin star and to be good at anything, we watch TV, we love food too, and I cook, Geeta cooks. We watch Chopped and everything. In Chopped especially, and you may be knowing as a cook, they give you weird ingredients, but somehow they know within 30 minutes what goes with the acidity or the sweetness or something. So tell us a little bit about what's your creativeness, where it's coming from.
Training. I'm a rebel. If you tell me you can't do this as being an Indian or a person of color, then you know it. Within a few years, I'm going to do it. I just feel that that's my fuel, and that's my fuel. And the people who come from Amritsar, they do their work first and they think later. We have a mentalities like this. We will actually go on a war, and we are fighting with people. And then we realize, guys, why are we fighting? It's like, oh, we came here. So I think cooking became a rebellious form for me in America because of certain chefs I worked with. Because I was only allowed to do dishwashing and to do cleaning or delivery. And they will say, "We will never let you touch the food." And that became very important for me, that the reason was that because you're too dark. And living in Paris, living in New York, and worked with some of the greatest chefs. But the chefs don't cook, you know, the guys who work and they're running the kitchens. And that became like a big question for me. And that became a real war. That why would not they accept a brown guy running a kitchen which can receive a Michelin star in a lifetime? And that was a very different war I took. And for that, you had to be trained. You have to be better than everyone. You have to be at work before everyone. And you have to be at work after everyone has left. There was a very big chunk of my life which was just devoted that I would not leave the steel kitchens. I opened and failed many restaurants. People don't know about it. I went bankrupt a few times, but people do not know. People just focus on that glory of 2011 when I got the star. But before that, I had a lot of businesses. Within a span of 2 weeks, I had a cooking school. I shut it down. I had a catering company. I went bankrupt. I had a restaurant in Midtown, New York. I closed. Everything within 2008 meltdown of the economy, everything just disappeared. And that's okay. I think rising back again is what is very important, which for the kids today, you know, we grew up in a society where our friends and parents and grandparents, everybody lived together. So you understood how to get up very fast. But today's kids are quite in isolation in so many ways. So these lessons all came from home. When you saw the family fall down and they all rose up again very fast. And I think that's a reason.
Thank you. I mean, talking about rising up, you know, I want to let you know that tonight his restaurant is opening in Dubai called Kinara. and he is with us. He was so dedicated to, and we are so grateful to him.
First time in
And
my
he's
life.
flying there tomorrow to catch up.
First time in my life I'm not there when the restaurant opened because I promised Manoj and Geeta ji that I'll be in Washington, D.C. tonight.
And the second thing I want to mention, the appetizers, the hors d'oeuvres which are going around are by Chef Vikas Khanna.
No, it was in collaboration with Chef Vinod. Where is
Collaboration with Surfi and Vinod.
No, it's with Vinod. Those chefs need the credit for this.
Any questions? We'll quickly open it up for short question session.
So I'm going to be directing a movie next month.
Wow!
Thank you. So what advice do you have for new filmmakers?
I'm not a filmmaker. I'm just a storyteller. And one thing you're going to realize in shooting, is it a feature film or documentary? Okay, I'll tell you something very strange about. I've done a few documentaries before. I just finished my next year's documentary, majestic documentary. I realized in feature film, director is the god. In documentary, God is the director. You cannot control documentaries. They just happen, and you've got to breathe there. And you'll be surprised that the way you go and shoot a scene, it's not going to be like that forever. Not even for Christopher Nolan or Steven Spielberg. It's going to be better if you let yourself breathe and be in the moment. And one thing I recommend to you, please do a lot of B-roll. Please do a lot of B-roll. I didn't do any B-roll first time. B-roll means that even the characters are not there, you keep shooting some elements of that room in the same lighting. It will help you in editing. You'll thank me for that suggestion. Thank you.
But my voice is pretty loud, so I can project. How did you go from painting a plate to painting a story? Telling a story on a plate, telling a story on paper.
I've been cooking for 30 years. 30. And one thing which cooking taught me was the most instrumental in making a movie. That was preparation. Cooking is absolutely about preparing. I'm talking about in Michelin restaurants, what you have to do, you get your stuff, you get your fish from Tokyo, and the vegetables are coming from Holland, and this is coming from there. There's so much of, we're not restrained too much by budgets, so quality. And then you're training your staff, and you're getting everything right, and then the order comes. You have 5 minutes to fire it, exactly like a movie shoot. When Nina ji had to dance in the sun in the backdrop, me and Nina ji danced all night in the hotel because Nina ji would have to give one shot without any cut. And I did the choreography of the dance of Holi and all those things and she practiced all. So exactly like cooking. When you're doing big events or your dinner reservation is full, you need to be so prepared. And then it's what I call Rab Rakha. It's in the hand of gods. That is what goes on the plate, and that goes on the cinema after editing. I just feel that. But there's a cinema is very easy as compared to cooking because in cinema you can do recut. If I make a dinner for Manoj doesn't like, I can't take it out of his stomach and say, let me cook for you again. So you don't get a chance in cooking many times. But in filmmaking, you get the chance thanks to editing processes.
So, staying with the cooking thing, I love watching cooking shows on the TV. Okay. And I'm vegetarian, so I have seen a lot of chefs cook very nice vegetarian food on the TV. And I have been to a number of chefs' restaurants. And I must say that what they cook on the TV is very different than what they serve in the restaurant. What about you?
So starting this weekend, on my Instagram page, you're going to see 60 seconds of every dish which will be served in the restaurant. I wanted to make that change because it has been due for a very long time. Because I'll quickly tell you. So there's a dish, the first dish which will come on, so you can judge me on that actually. It's a shakar kandi ki chaat. It's a sweet potato savory dish. So you're going to see it, that how I cut the sweet potato, and you can make it at home. You cut it within 60 seconds. You cut it, you boil it in ginger broth, then you take it out, you smoke it with sandalwood and mango wood. you smoke it. Then after that, you pan-sear it in curry flavored seasoned oil. And then after that, you sprinkle exactly the same masala which you have in North India, in Delhi, especially during the winters when they sprinkle over it, which is a dried mango-based masala. Now we're talking about chaat, so you also think about sont. So you'll see strawberries being roasted, then ginger, dry powder, and I'll make a proper sont out of it with tamarind. That will go inside that. So you'll see that what I'm plating, when you go to the restaurant and you open your Instagram, it will be 90% same. I know we are all facing this problem because our TV food is so beautiful in real life. It's just like all of us, you know. In Instagram, we look so beautiful. In real people like, are you the same person? And like, no, too many filters.
Vikasji, I was deeply moved by your movie, The Last Color. I hope you will keep on making with different colors and more colors. I want to compliment you for getting that young girl, Chuti. Her performance, her acting was superb. I don't know how did you get that young girl to perform and such a good English speaking. So I hope you will find more talents like that. I want to quote one thing. You say, when the world gives Nina Guptaji standing applause, my heart starts dancing. I still need to pinch myself to realize that I created the movie called The Last Color with the India's one of the greatest actress. It will premiere in Chicago in September 20th. I hope it premieres all over the world.
We are coming.
You have broken iceberg. This is going on for hundreds of years. After Shoti came this Vidhava, this widowhood, and you have really broken the glass ceiling or breaking the barrier. So I want to applaud you on behalf of Manoj and Gita Singh and all the people here. I think that you need to be awarded by Filmfare Award.
Hello, Vikas. I have a personal question. Are you married? Or do you have a girlfriend?
So every time I'm a... No. So, are you married?
Oh, and
So-
that question is, did you find, like, many men don't cook at home at all. So is your wife or slash girlfriend, I don't know, because you haven't answered that.
I'm not married. I'm an extremely unsuccessful person at relationships, and I'll be honest. And it's always been my mistake, and I accept that. And I have asked apologies from many women that I have a mental problem that I'm work obsessed. And it's not easy in my industry. If you know any chefs, it's very difficult to keep a relationship because the work just wears you out. And it has always been my mistake, I admit it.
But my question is, it is easy for you to find girlfriends or no?
It's very easy. It's very...
Thank you very much.
Hi.
Hello, Vikas. Congratulations. What a great movie. It moved me. It brought me to tears. Just one curiosity. What prompted you to label it The Last Color when, on the contrary, it was the beginning of color in a woman's life?
So the movie was, my novel is called Colorless. When I wrote the novel, it was called The Colorless. So it became, because I have accent issues, so I couldn't say the word colorless properly. So I'm like, the colorless. I'm like, I said, try to fake American accent, then I go back to Indian accent, so it became very difficult. I said, let's change the name. Easier. But actually, I wrote this book on Manikarnika Ghat, that is the cremation ground on Ganges. And one thing which was so amazingly to observe, that almost every person's ashes is almost the same color. So in the novel, I talk about that more, that in the last color means that, you know, eventually everybody has the same color. And that's it.
Hi, Vikas. We had an earlier discussion, and thank you for answering all our questions. I think one thing we didn't cover there is the bad guy in the movie. And usually in Hindi movies, we have seen the bad guy always gets what he deserves, right? In this movie, You didn't touch it, but then I saw at the last scene. And
You saw it?
Yeah. And the widowed wife. So what happened to him?
When we were discussing this movie on the editing table in New York and LA, so most of the people who were with me were either from Iran or from Russia, and I was the only Indian. Because I wanted to bring a different sensibility to editing process. And they kept telling me, don't disclose. Let people find the answers. So we have shot of Choti, little bit her montages of she growing up, and everybody said, don't do it. Don't spoon feed, because you have the answers if you watch them. And thank you for observing that Raja's wife is a widow, because today she is getting colored because she saved Choti's life in a very indirect way. And the police officer says that this girl is a trouble, we must kill her, because she's going to color this entire city one day. And that's what happened. But the bad guy is actually, I'm not going to name him, is based on a real guy. That police officer gave me a hard time, like crazy. And the way he's such a bully and misused the power is to a different level, what I've observed, being in the prison myself there. And I realized that there was no check on the power. There was no check. There was no accountability on the power. And that's why I said, I'm not going to give him what he wants. So that was my reason. Hi, Rajesh.
Hi. I have nothing against fast food restaurants and other restaurants. You're a gourmet chef cooking for celebrities. Do you have any ideas to make a paradigm shift in fast food and bring in healthiness and gourmetness so that mass people can benefit, just not few in boardrooms? And
America controls the narrative of all these things. It's a huge superpower machine which brain feeds our kids around the world, not just for the food, for everything else. So if they spoon feed that the Barbie has to be white, all the kids in all the third world to second world countries are all bobbing white. American kids are eating pizza. Every kid in the world is eating pizza. They're eating burgers, the world is eating burgers. Because they control the cultural narrative of the world. It has to begin from the cultural, and this is huge. It's all big as insurance companies, the whole thing. And it's very difficult for someone to say that, would you be able to change the narrative of fast food cooking? Deutsche Welle did this article just 2 years ago. Deutsche Welle is like the New York Times of Europe. They did the article that which chefs have been successful in making this paradigm shift of different kind of eating habits. And they named me number 5. But I don't think so I deserve being there, because I've been pushing slow cooking for many, many years. The way everything used to be cooked in our houses when we were kids, it was slow cooked. It was slow cooked. It was sealed. It's very difficult to make that shift because we are working against such amazing forces. We can't name the corporations, but we all know that they're pushing the money into the market, and anything they do is viral. A small voice like ourselves, it's very difficult to say that. In my lifetime, I would like to see Indian chefs coming forward and doing home-style cooking. Indian restaurant cooking sometimes is not healthy, but Indian home cooking is absolutely healthy, because this is the only cuisine which is based on a healthy science of Ayurveda. So when you look at a mummy ka masala dabba, the spice box of our mothers, it's got only 5-6 things. And everything is in balance. But when you look at our spice boxes, because we are so rich now in the restaurant, like literally, because everybody wants to use hundreds of spices. It could be we might be against the Ayurvedic laws. We might be. I hope in my lifetime I can bring Indian home cooking to main stage. I hope. My little contribution. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vikas. We appreciate your time and really, really a place that you came all the way here to show your movie. And thank you all.